Hello and welcome to Joint Level Strength. I am Curtis Howden. I have been a two-time recipient of Impact Magazine's Top 10 Trainers in Canada. And today our workout is brought to you by Neil's Yard Remedies. They also have a contest going on where if you follow Impact, you follow Neil's Yard Remedies, and you also tag a friend in this sweat workout post, you can actually win a package from all of their natural remedies. So that's something that's going down. Today we are getting after joint level strength, and joint level strength is all about figuring out how to train a joint to get it to move to the place that you want. So a lot of times what you'll see is people get into stretching and they get into all of these different stimulus for their joint, but there's actually a way to train a joint that you can get a very good outcome from it, and that would be exploring a range and getting into that new range, usually through passive strategies, and then we start adding in contraction and control so that we can then own that range, and that's what's going to make your body keep that range for a longer period of time. So today we're going to focus, it's just going to be a half an hour where we're going to focus on the hip. We're going to get into internal rotation. We're going to do a little bit of a deduction, and then we're going to get into the posterior aspect of the hip with a modified pigeon position. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to explore the range available at your hip. So we can just start sideline. If you want to lay your head on a yoga brick, you can absolutely do that. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to lift our leg up, kind of like we're doing a hacky sack. We're going to pull that until your hip won't let it go anymore. After that, we're going to relax and pull that knee in towards your shoulder as far as you can. Then we're going to bring it up to the side, pulling the knee into the armpit, internally rotating, and kicking your foot rearward without changing what your pelvis is doing. Reaching as far back as you can, then we're going to smoothly drop back down into the leg here. That's one. We're going to kick back to finish that rep. Lift as high as you can without moving that foot up, and then we're going to relax and bring that knee into your armpit. Pull into the chest, then we're going to turn out and bring that back down. Second rep, pull up. Again, trying to get this foot right under the knee as high as we can until your hip stops you. Then we're going to relax and pull that knee into the chest. Reach into the armpit. Internally rotate and kick that foot back. Bring it down. And here. So now we're looking for a lot of good irradiation on this. We want to squeeze to try to get out to the furthest range that we can. Notice me lifting this knee with the foot right behind it. Then relax that knee up into the armpit. Pull into the chest. Externally rotate and reach that foot back down. Last rep. Hacky sack up. As high as you can. Relax and pull that knee into the chest without changing the pelvis. Rotate that out to the side. Turn the foot to try to get it right behind the knee as we kick rearward, and then smooth and controlled come back down. And that's our 3 reps. We're going to switch and get the other side and explore what we have as far as range and control there. So again, the same thing. We're going to be turning into this hacky sack position, trying to get your knee right on top of your foot until your hip stops you. Then we're going to relax that position, pull that knee up into your chest, turn out to the side, knee up into the armpit, and then turn that foot and kick rearward, squeezing through your glute without changing your pelvic position. And then back down. Kicking rearward, squeeze that glute, lift up to the side, knee right in front of the ankle, and then relax and pull that knee to the armpit, knee to chest, and hacky sack position back out. That's 1. We got 2 more. Hacky sack up, knee to chest, knee to armpit. Rotate that without changing the pelvis. Kick rearward, smooth and controlled down, and back up. Kick rearward, up, knee to armpit, knee to chest, externally rotate, place it back down. Last one, up, knee to chest, knee to armpit, internally rotate that leg and kick rearward, squeeze that glute without changing your pelvic position. Back down to the knee, and backwards again. Kick rearward, lift up to the side, knee to the armpit, knee to the chest, externally rotate, and reach back down into alignment. So this is a drill that we can use to prepare our hip for what we want to do, which, Depending on what you're trying to do with your hip, there's a variety of different ways you can go about this and strategies you can use. But figuring out your active range first and finding control through all of the articulation space in your hip is a really good place to start. Right after this, what we're going to do is we're going to start getting into some internal rotation. We're going to do a really remedial internal rotation exercise. Now there's a lot of drills out there that you can use. I'm just going to use my yoga bricks here. So getting into internal rotation, depending on what level your knee is at, we're going to change which muscles are working. So what I want to do today is I'm going to set up, instead of having my knee right in front of my hip like you'll often see, I'm going to set my knee up so that it's 45 degrees down. Got my hips nice and even here. And what I want to do is get more and more rotation at the foot. So you'll see I'm setting this up, knee down from my hip at 45 degrees, and I've got my foot up here. Now this is already instituting some internal rotation, but I want to see how much I can actually get actively. So the first thing I want to do is push this foot down into the ground nice and hard, squeezing it down into the ground. You got to think about the inside of your thigh, really squeezing, pushing that ankle down. Then I'm slowly going to relax, and I'm going to lift that up as high as I possibly can. At this point, I should be squeezing right in this zone here, getting that posterior aspect of the hip. Big pull, big pull, big pull. And then I'm going to adjust this up to a height that's going to be more challenging for me. I'm going to go quite a lot higher because you saw me lift off quite high. So I'm now in a more internally rotated position, driving this knee down into the ground. And for me, I can feel this wanting to bind up. Now, if you feel the front aspect here, this is a muscle called TFL, that's binding up for you, just get rid of the arch in your back. If you're arching your back, you'll feel that want to bind up. Just get rid of that and flex out your lumbar. Second contraction, we're going to push this foot down into the ground, squeezing it down into the ground as hard as we can. We're going to hold that for a full 10 seconds. Big squeeze down, and then slowly relax and lift that foot up. And you'll see that I've got more range here. The one thing that I don't want you to do is turn your hips to the ground, because then you'll just have endless range. We're going to leave our hips in the exact same spot and lift, and you'll see I've got more range than I had. So I'm going to build this up after I get this 10-second hold. I'm going to relax down. Put this other brick here. Set my brick even higher. So again, I'm setting these hips up nice and even. I'm going to squeeze my foot down, pulling it into the ground. This is our last rep here. Squeeze down. We should be feeling the inside of this thigh. Big pull, big pull, big pull. Then leaving your hips where they are. You see me cueing this hip. I'm just going to lift that up and see if I can get it higher again. Pull, squeezing up there. And you'll see that I've increased the range that I had available here. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to use that range. So this is a regular lift off here. We're just going to pull up, squeeze up. Notice how I'm pushing through this ankle. 4, 5, back down. Really want to feel this on the back side, high in the glute. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Switch sides. We need the exact same protocol. So again, we're looking for a total of about 30 seconds of time under tension. What we want to get here is more range, but we want that more range due to having more control. So our first setup here, I'm going to try to keep my hips nice and even. Put this knee 45 degrees down. I'm going to place this brick under the foot. I'm going to start that a little higher on the other side because I know I can do it. So there we go. I've got a 90-degree angle at that leg. I'm in an internally rotated position, okay? Our first thing we're going to do is push that foot down into the ground, keeping the knee on the ground here. Drive it down, drive it down, drive it down. And we're slowly going to relax and lift the other way. So keeping this 90-degree angle, I'm lifting mainly through the ankle there. And on this side especially, my back wants to arch and cramp up that front side of the hip. So I'm just going to get rid of that arch in the lumbar and just kind of like tucking your tail. So you can feel that come into this high glute area here. Okay, I'm going to relax that down, and I'm going to add just a little bit more height to that. So, same position. I'm going to drive that foot down,
Squeeze with the inside of your thigh, pushing that foot down into the brick as hard as you can. We want to try to get a lot of tension there, squeezing through. Then we're going to keep that knee on the ground and we're going to lift that foot as high as we possibly can. Notice how I'm turning that ankle up to be the lead there. That way I feel it way up here into the glute med and min kind of area. Big pulling up, big pulling up. And then I'm going to relax. I'm going to do one more height on this for our last rep. Setting up, driving that knee down to the ground, pressing the foot into the brick, trying to melt those bricks into the ground. Big push, and then slowly relax and lift that foot up nice and tall. Squeeze it up high, squeeze in the back of the glute. Pull, 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 pull. And then slowly relax back down.
So, the reason that we would start with rotation at the hip is because at a ball and socket joint, everything is rotation. If we think about kind of angular movement, just moving the leg forward and back, it's still a ball and socket, so it's still rotating. So for a lot of people, when they have close angle pinches on the front of their hip, undue tension in their SI and things like this, what we need to work on first is, can we function the hip like a hip, which is going to revolve around rotation. Once we get that, I wanted to give you guys two more skills that you can take and use. You're going to see that these are strategies that we can kind of apply to different movements. But what we want to do here is we're going to get into our half straddle position first. So a lot of dysfunction that we'll see with people is going to revolve around this balance between the medial and lateral sections of the hip. So we're going to get into our adductors. Now this is called half straddle position. I don't care how wide you are, but what I want to see is nice, even hips here. So to keep your hips even is going to put a lot of tension on the straight leg for most people.